Hello everyone, I'm Shreya Dhoundial. India's record surge in COVID numbers continues. Yes, we are in a mess, we know that. Family and friends are falling to COVID at a rate that no one had ever imagined or anticipated. The desperate search for oxygen and hospital beds and plasma and remdesivir is more often than not ending in heartbreak for many people. Hospitals are going to court to get oxygen to keep their patients alive. These are dark times. For now, there is no bright side to the situation we are in. But in these dark times, there are citizen warriors, men and women who have refused to put down their weapons at the feet of this rampaging enemy. A pregnant cop who shows up for COVID duty every day. A senior IPS officer who spends every spare hour arranging oxygen and medicines for people who reach out to him on Twitter. A 24-year-old doctor who is tapping into his vast network to organize plasma for the critically ill. On Debrief today, we are meeting all of them. Let's start though with the Dabang of Dantewada. Shilpa Sahu is the DSP of Dantewada. She's 5 months pregnant. In maternity clothes and a lathi in hand, she's out on the roads every day enforcing the lockdown. Arunima has her story.
Many like this biker in the heart of Chhattisgarh have been taken aback. Seeing a salwar kameez clad seemingly pregnant woman commanding them with a lathi in hand. A closer look would reveal that only the uniform has given way to maternity comfort clothes. Her no-nonsense approach unchanged despite being 5 months pregnant. DSP Shreya Sahu is frequently seen enforcing a COVID lockdown in Dantewada.
यहाँ के जो गांव वाले हैं वो सीधे साधे हैं, उनको कोई दिक्कत नहीं है सिखाने के लिए, वो बिल्कुल उपयोग करते हैं मास्क का। कुछ ऐसे हैं जो पढ़े लिखे हैं लेकिन अनावश्यक घूम रहे हैं, तो उन्हीं को आती है समझाने, वही है जो बहस करते हैं, क्योंकि यहाँ के लोग बोले भाले हैं, वो उनको जो बताया गया उनके फायदे के लिए क्या है तो वो मान लेते हैं। जो दिक्कत जाती है उन्हीं लोगों को समझाने में जाती है जो अनावश्यक सब जानते हुए भी रिस्क ले रहे हैं।
An engineer from Durg, Shreya Sahu chose to be in Naxal-affected Bastar to be with her police officer husband, who is posted in neighbouring Kirandul. She is more used to handling the AK-47, leading the Danteshwari Ladke, a special anti-Naxal force of the state police. But she seems equally at ease with the lathi, enforcing law and order in the town. If you ask her about the corona risk to her unborn child, pat comes her reply.
दूसरा चीज दिमाग में ये आता है कि गारंटी क्या है कि आप अगर घर में रहोगे या ऑफिस का ही काम करोगे तो आपको कोरोना नहीं होगा। तो कोरोना तो कैसे भी हो सकता है, कोई रिश्तेदार हो या कोई रिलेटिव जैसा भी हो जिसके माध्यम से भी फैल सकता है, तो ऐसा कोई गारंटी तो नहीं लगा। दूसरा चीज ये है कि ऑफिस में भी कोई ये फिक्स नहीं है कि जो आ रहे हैं किसी चीज में साइन कर रहे हो तो वो भी एक तरीके से सैनिटाइज हो या कुछ हो, तो रिस्क तो है, लेकिन यहाँ भी पूरी सावधानी को ध्यान में रखते हुए ही कार्य कर रही हूँ।
29-year-old Sahu is one of those who have refused to allow gender, maternity or any other biological needs turn into a limitation.
It's not easy being a cop in Naxal territory. Add corona to the mix and it's two enemies that you're battling at one time. But DSP Sahu's dedication to her duty has come in for appreciation from all quarters. Chief Minister of Chhattisgarh, Bhupesh Baghel, has taken note. Also, her seniors and peers explain that biology is no limitation for a woman who's dedicated. With inputs, this is Arunima.
DSP Shilpa Sahu. It is citizens like her who are the face of India's fight against a virus that has killed more Indians than all the wars that India has fought, including World War I and World War II. Indian soldiers were part of that as well. These are desperate times, and we often turn to faith in desperate times. Faith that teaches us to put service before self. That is what a mosque and temples in Gujarat and Maharashtra have done. They have opened their doors and their hearts in these times of need. Take a look.
The second wave of corona has left the healthcare infrastructure in shambles, with people facing acute shortage of hospital beds and healthcare facilities across the country. But as they say, when the Almighty can't help you, He sends His followers to do so. In the worst hit states of Maharashtra and Gujarat, religious institutions have come forward and have joined the battle against COVID-19. The Swaminarayan Temple in Vadodara, for instance, has set up a 500-bed COVID care center inside its premises. This makeshift hospital is equipped with liquid oxygen tanks, piped oxygen lines, ICU beds and ventilators. Parallelly, this mosque in the Jahangirpura area of Vadodara has transformed itself into a COVID-19 facility which can accommodate up to 50 patients. It houses modern medical care and oxygen cylinders to treat COVID patients who are struggling to find hospital beds.
हाल की जो शहर की परिस्थिति है उसको ध्यान में लेते हुए इस मस्जिद को हमने कोविड सेंटर में कन्वर्ट कर दिया है। अभी फ़िलहाल 50 बेड है और ज़रूरत पड़ने पर रोज़ और 50 बेड का एक्सपांसन कर सकते हैं। ये अल्लाह का घर है तो अल्लाह के बंदों के लिए इस्तेमाल होता है। अल्लाह के बंदे तो हर कोई है, चाहे वो हिंदू हो, मुसलमान हो, सिख हो, ईसाई हो, पारसी हो, कोई भी हो, हर कोई अल्लाह का बंदा है।
It's a similarly heartwarming story coming from the Pavandan temple in Borivali, Mumbai, which has converted its 4-story building into a 100-bed quarantine center for mild and asymptomatic patients. This COVID facility has an adequate stock of oxygen cylinders and has also tied up with a private hospital for healthcare support.
Patient below 60 age and above 18. We will be taking admission for that patient only. We are charging 3,000 rupees per day per patient, in which we are giving our medicine, food, everything, all facility. We are taking only mild cases. We have here all oxygenated bed.
There is a visible shortage of hospital beds with the alarming rate of infection that's coming to light. In such a scenario, every little help offered to take the burden off the health infrastructure will go a long way in this fight against COVID-19. With video journalist Manas Das in Mumbai, this is Mihir Trivedi.
And it is not just temples and mosques. Gurudwaras across this country are doing some stellar work as far as COVID is concerned. There are many such citizens who are coming forward to help out, and they're coming from all walks of lives. We have two of them joining us today. Arun Bothra is a senior IPS officer. He's joining us on the broadcast, someone who's also the founder of the India Cares Foundation. He's helping out whoever needs help. You can tag him on his Twitter handle, and he's somehow managing to help people out in Delhi, sitting in Bhubaneswar. He's joining us. Arun Bothra, thank you very much for being part of the broadcast. I know you have a medical emergency, so I'll finish this chat very quickly. Neil Pinto, you're the founder of pintnetwork.com, someone who's arranging plasma for people who need it. Mr. Bothra, I'm going to come to you first. You're an IPS officer, and many people could argue your duty is policing. आप इन चक्करों में कैसे पड़ गए?
पुलिस में आने से पहले भी तो हिंदुस्तान के सिटीजन है ना, मतलब I became police officer 22 years ago, but I born as an Indian 52 years ago. So I am first an Indian and then a police officer. So of course, and maybe after 6, 7, 10 years I will not be a police officer, but still I will be a citizen of India. So it's my duty, of course, that I have to do whatever I can in this crisis.
Mr. Bothra, what is, I want to ask you how you started out with the India Cares Foundation I mean, how did you get started? That's the first question. COVID is it's a massive enemy. Every citizen needs to fight it. I want to know how you got started.
In fact, this is a digital platform. We are not a registered organization. We don't take any donations or anything. There are about 3,000 plus volunteers all over India. I have not met 99% of them. Only a few I have met physically. See what happened last year during the lockdown. Many people were tagging me on Twitter for asking for ration or some pass or some movement of a dead body or something like that. Very difficult situations were there, you know that. So that time I was trying to help as many as people as possible. And then some friend gave an idea that why don't you create a platform where others can also join you. And we went with it. In fact, there was no plan. It evolved on its own. We never planned it like that. बट वंस इट स्टार्टेड, जैसे वो बोलते हैं कारवां चलता गया और लोग साथ जुड़ते गए, people started coming along, and now in fact let me tell you very honestly, I do very little work, maybe little policy and supervision, but otherwise it is run by the volunteers. Thousands of people are there, they are helping people, and I don't really come to know also how many cases they have done in a day.
Okay, so it's quite amazing what you're telling me. What you're doing has grown organically, that there are 3,000 volunteers of your organization and you have not met 99% of them. That's what the lockdown has done. Connect us with people who we've never met. Do stay on with us. I'm getting in Neil Pinto as well. Neil, you're doing some fabulous work in Maharashtra. Plasma is something I know much in demand, not just here in Delhi where I'm broadcasting from, but all across the country. Of course, there's a question mark on who requires the plasma, whether, plasma therapy is something that is working against COVID or not. I want to ask you the sort of number of calls that you get every day and whether you're able to respond to all the calls that you get and provide plasma for those who need it.
Those are two very good questions. Thank you for asking them. So we get around 300 to 400 requests for plasma a day, not only from Mumbai, from Delhi, Bangalore, Hyderabad, and we're only able to help about 30 to 40 of those patients. We get about 30, 40 donors registering every day. So for every 10 patients we get, we're only about to save one life. And we're looking to increase those numbers as much as we can. With regard to your question about plasma therapy being effective, doctors do use it along with a bunch of other treatments in severe patients. There have been trials to show effectiveness, but until a wide-scale clinical trial is done, we wouldn't know. But for now, we've been using it across all severe patients of COVID-19.
Dr. Pinto, one of the things that we in India are particularly proud of is our recovery rate. We say, look at our recovery rate. It is absolutely fabulous. People who are getting infected with the virus are very quickly getting better. If there is such a large population that has antibodies, why is India short of plasma? Why do you get 400 calls a day and you can only help out 40 patients out of them? Why are we in this situation?
There's a lot of stigma and fear that surrounds people, especially recovered patients. They have a fear associated with going back to a hospital. Either they're worried about getting reinfected or they're worried about things like the plasma donation being painful. Secondly there's a lot of myth about plasma not being effective. Unfortunately, for all the COVID treatments, not many have shown effectiveness. So doctors prefer to use an armament of treatments as compared to one single drug or plasma alone. So they prefer to use a lot of different treatments. So there are a couple of myths that people have and stigma associated with going back to a hospital that makes it really hard to reach out to the recovered patients and really encourage them to donate.
Mr. Bothra, मुझे पता है अभी काम लंबा है. This pandemic is not going to go anywhere, and there are many people who will need the help of people like Dr. Pinto and people like you. I want to ask you. I was actually tracking your Twitter handle yesterday night, and you were up late at night trying to I think organize oxygen for a hospital in Delhi, the Rathi hospital, if I'm not mistaken. I want to ask you, what has been the most heartbreaking day or experience for you in the last 1.5 years that you've been involved with helping out with the pandemic, and what's been a day where you have smiled to yourself and said, "Chalo, meri zindagi aaj safal ho gayi"?
कल रात भी जिंदगी सफल हुई. हम लोगों ने we were able to supply oxygen to that hospital where 68 patients were in danger actually. You asked, the first question is more, I would tell most of the days are very distressing and very sad in a way. What affects me as a leader of the team, I'm telling you, is that I get calls from our young volunteers. See, our team is very young, students and young professionals. Some volunteer trying to help a patient, and after all the efforts, the patient dies. So many people are dying. It is affecting our volunteers also. It is affecting our volunteers psychologically. And some volunteers, they call up me in the night and they start crying कि सर मैं उसकी मदद कर रहा था, मैं उसको बचा नहीं पाया. It is very difficult to tell a 23-year, 24-year or maybe 17-year-old boy or girl that you did your best and you could not do it anyway better. So these psychological things, which is affecting our volunteers who are trying very hard day in and day out to help people. This is something which I face personally. It affects me also, and I have sometimes I sleep very sad.
Dr. Pinto, is that an experience you have as well on days where you have tried hard, not been able to save a patient's life? Are there days like that for you where you simply break down and cry? I know a lot of people who are seeing death up close and personal in this pandemic who aren't even sure about what they are feeling right now.
It is definitely, as compared to exactly what Mr. Bothra said, it's a very overwhelming situation, because in the morning you're talking to a patient, and in the night you help him find a donor, but by the time you find him a donor, the patient has already passed away. So it's really overwhelming, not only for me but for our entire team. Like, they develop such relationships both with the donors and the patients, and to hear someone lose a close relative is it's a very hard thing to deal with. And not only do you have to keep your emotions in, you have to support them as well. And we try to handle them through the journey as far as possible if there's anything else they need from our side. And they've always been very grateful to our donors as well as us. So we're trying everything we can. It is hard, and there will be deaths always occurring. So it's in our best interest to keep supporting them.
So Dr. Pinto, very quickly, I'm going to ask both you and Mr. Bothra this question. Where can people reach you? Neil Pinto, where can people reach you if they want plasma, if they are looking for plasma, or if they are looking to donate plasma?
So we have a website. It's called www.pintnetwork.com, where the donor and patients can simply go there, register by filling in a form, which takes under 2 minutes. And we try to match the donor to the patient in under 24 hours and effectively save the patient's life.
And Mr. Bothra, where can people reach you? I know people can reach you on Twitter, but any place else?
I'm mostly on Twitter actually, but again, to be honest, these days I'm not able to respond to everybody. I used to respond to everybody, but these days even staying awake all night, I'm not able to respond to all the DMs. India Cares is an organization which, I told you, a digital platform which we have created. People can tag us there. One thing, the problem is that most of the people are asking these days hospital beds, plasma, oxygen, and some medicines, which are actually rare, very difficult to get, but we are doing our best. And thank you for giving me a chance to tell that we are always there. Whatever we can do, in whatever way we will not sit quiet, and we will do whatever we can.
It is in the darkest of times that the human spirit shines through. While we lock ourselves in our homes trying to keep the virus at bay, there are others who are making the lives of those who are down with COVID a little easier. These are law students, IT professionals, good Samaritans, all coming together to provide everything from Nor soup to home-cooked food. Swastika is getting us more on that.
Damini Mishra, her brother Akshat Jha, and their house help G. Shetty begin work in their home kitchen in Bengaluru at 7:30 in the morning, cooking meals for COVID patients living in isolation. From sourcing vegetables, cooking, packing, and even delivering it to the patients who can't pick it up themselves, the sibling duo do up to 5 to 6 deliveries a day for free until about 10 a.m. when they get back to their day jobs.
People who are living alone and are suffering with COVID don't have the energy to actually make the effort to cook. So my brother and I, we came together to solve this problem. We are providing healthy vegetarian meals to people recovering with COVID. We are providing 3 meals a day, and we are getting the meals delivered directly to their houses. This service is completely free of cost. It's an act of goodwill from our side.
As the battle against the pandemic rages on, these good Samaritans are back in full force to lend a helping hand to COVID-hit families. In Hyderabad, a young law student, Rikit Shahi, has taken up the task of arranging and delivering essential supplies. Surgical masks, Nor soups, dustbin covers to groceries, you name it, and Rikit and his Activa will be at your doorstep with everything.
If you need any help in and around Hyderabad, please hit me up, and yeah, if you're COVID positive by any chance, stay at home and stay safe.
Another organization which has been working round the clock is Hyderabad-based Feed the Needy, which provides free last ride services to deceased COVID patients. It's run by 10 IT professionals who had initially set out to distribute food items to migrants, but later on became the backbone of families who haven't been able to give a proper send-off to their loved ones, either due to high cremation costs or social stigma.
One of my friend's mother has come into COVID, death on 29th of June, and the guys have been fleeced them with exorbitant prices, and some cannot come out for performing the last rite. So where we have been on the ground and we saw how their human vultures are looting the money from the in this pandemic. So if any citizens want to avail our services, they can always reach out to us on 7995 404040.
Not all superheroes wear capes. Amid the COVID gloom, these unsung heroes have gone beyond the call of duty to make a difference on the ground, one day at a time. With Swastika Das, Revati Rajavan in Bengaluru for CNN News 18.
If you know more such good Samaritans, selfless people who are doing big or small things, do let me know. My Twitter handle is @Shreya Dhoundial. We'll try and profile them. Do your bit. Help someone who needs it. We rise when we lift others. Always remember that. Thanks for watching.